Alrighty, so we got 2 of the 2 cost Sanjis. This also is a 2k counter. Now, what was kind of like your option and your thought process when coming into just playing 2 of this in your deck list?
Yeah, so I felt like 8 2k counters were like not enough really. You're mainly dumping the Makino, the Brooks onto the board anyways to be aggressive. So eventually when they counter swing at you, they understand the matchup. They'll probably swing for 6k. So having the extra 2ks, they're less punished and not being forced to use the spell like a radical beam or 2 1ks.
Okay, so is this kind of like a meta call for you? Because I know there are some Zoros that may not have rammed this and you only rammed 2. Was that kind of like the situation here?
And I think it's just personal preference playstyle. I mean, I feel like Sanji's pretty versatile and like somehow getting starred by an NL player, it can be useful. I can just dump it down against Sakazuki too as like a beater, like 6. So pretty nice. It's a big swing too. Yeah.
Alright, so next up we got 4 of the 1 cost Namis. This one's obviously going to be a searcher. It's a staple, not much to ask. But I know there's an option between either the straw over the beard. What's kind of like your preference pick on, I guess, picking Nami as the straw hat search?
Yeah, so I feel like Whitebeard package has a pretty good matchup into most of the meta. Especially Nell gets a lot easier. Being able to find your Marcos easier. But I feel like it doesn't stand a chance against Sakazuki being too slow and getting bottom deck too easily by Borsalinos and Houndblaze. I felt like straw was the only way to find my rush pieces, like rush Luffy, rush Zoro, my Jambles, just to aggro them down and win that matchup. Yeah, I'm playing 4 rush Zoros. I feel like this is a Zoro special. I have to play 4 of this. Easy to swing 7/7 with 6 on. Yeah, it's a really good card. Allows you to aggro down Sakazuki or any other matchup you need it for. Really good stats. Alright, Dawn, this is your 1-drop searcher, the MVP of the deck, 5k swing, 1 Dawn attached pretty much all the time. Yeah, insane card. Makino, insane. If you have a 1-drop, you just dump it on the floor. It'll pseudo block for you the next turn because they have to respect it, and it gets cards out of hand with counter. For Maguras, I see some people play 3. I think you makes sense sometimes if you're not seeing your 1-drop to pump, but on the turns you do see your 1-drops in the early game, you need it on turn 2 to aggro down Sakazuki. So I think 4 is probably the play for this meta. Then Buggy, I've seen people cut Buggy down to 3, but with the low events in the deck, but it's too good. There's a lot of matchups where the slash portion is really relevant, so it becomes a beater. You have to clear it, pseudo block, and finding events is always insane because unblockable is OP.
Alright, then we got next up we got 4 of the 5 cost Marcos. Now obviously this is mostly just like a straw hat build. For the most part, this is obviously a Whitebeard. It does have applications, but what's kind of like your preference and reasoning why you run 4 of all things?
Yeah, so I felt like into a lot of decks, it can be pretty good. Unkillable body, and everyone knows if a body sticks on Zoro's field, it's gonna swing and it's gonna be really annoying to deal with. It's a dead card most of the time versus Sakazuki, but it does come up where you can play it if they waste their Houndblazes too early, so you gotta always watch out for that. But most of the time though, this is a 4 of just to be able to handle the Enel matchup, because without this, it's pretty much impossible to take down Enel, the pure straw build, especially because yellow does yellow thing. You're not gonna be able to push through the weenie.
And then next up we have the 1 cost Nico Robin. Now talk a little bit about this. Did it actually come up? What was like kind of a lot of the experiences going into the matchups today with just 1 Nico Robin?
Yeah, so I wanted a 1-drop. This is mainly just to kill Rebecca. I mean, I guess it comes up to kill Brule, but it actually never came up in all my matches. I wish I saw it more, but yeah, didn't matter. I was thinking about playing 2, but you'll see later in my event list I had responses to the Rebecca blocker I thought were better than Nico Robin.
Okay, then next up we also got another one of the 1 cost Sunny Kun. So with this one, is it pretty much just like something of the same shit with Nico Robin, just wanted another 1 cost?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the 3k body stat on the 1 cost, so when you pump it up with Makino or Magura, it can swing for 7. Really, but I really didn't find room for it. I wanted to play 10 2Ks, these Sanjis from earlier, and I felt like Buggy, the spots for Sunny from the OPO5 Zoro list that people were playing. So I just played 1. I actually saw it pretty much like every game. Kind of funny. So it was okay in some of the games. Some games it was dead though, just a counter. So not bad though. I think I'd probably bump it up to 2 or take it out completely because I don't really like 1-ofs, but yeah.
Next up we got 4 of the 2 cost Brook. Now this is obviously going to be a staple. It's also a straw hat. Now I guess with this case you do have 2 options. It's either 2k counter or the on play. Would you say you saw or ended up using more, the on play or just 2k counter?
Yeah, I mean I think every Zoro player should be just dumping this as the on play. Just to swing for 7 with your leader pretty freely, and it builds a 5k swing the next turn if they don't clear it. Yeah, it's a broken card, lets you aggro down Sakazuki more. I guess the only matchup I wouldn't play it in is probably the mirror match, because the mirror match you need to save your 2ks, but that's pretty much it.
Okay, then next up we got 3 of the 5 cost Luffys. Now this one obviously is pretty important. I'm pretty sure this helps you gap close games, put in a lot of pressure. Was your thought process on whether just using maybe 2, 3, or how you kind of approach using this card?
Yeah, so originally I was playing 4 because unblockable is how you beat Sakazuki, but I was just seeing it too much and it was just a dead card in hand. So I felt like 3 was just fine. I feel like as long as I see 1, it was just good enough for the pressure I needed. And I feel like you don't even have to swing unblockable with it most of the time. Just swinging 7 for really, because of leader ability, is good enough. It takes some effort for them to clear it as well. Talking about Sakazuki. But yeah, good card. And it threatens lethal.
So next up we got 4 of the 1 cost radical beams. Now I've seen a lot of other builds, they do a mix up, right? They do have the guard points that have radical beams. In your case, only run just the 4 whole radical beams. What was kind of like the thought process on that?
Yeah, so I didn't want to clog on defensive spells where I'm forced to leave Dawn up the whole time. I felt like 4 radicals was enough since it's double searchable by Nami and Buggy, where I could survive the opponent player's lethal turn, kill them the next turn. So I felt like 4 was good. I was seeing at least 1 pretty much every game, and I felt like guard point just clogged hands when I was testing it. Didn't want to use it. However, though, I felt like the 0 cost spell was actually insane. There was a lot of times where I was able to just survive lethal turns by having this and pitching out like a dead card like I rushed Luffy, and I had a Jambe in hand, and it felt really good. I think this card's hella underrated. Yeah.
Okay. So you felt like in your case, just in terms of preference and just how you like to play the deck, you'd rather just opt out for the bad miners and the radical beam setup rather than maybe like the guard points and the radical beam setup?
Yeah, leaving Dawn up sometimes is not the answer, especially because you need to knock as many counter out as possible from Sakazuki's hand, and this lets you just guard more efficiently.
And then next we got 2 of the 2 cost Fire Fist. This one's pretty good and typically always hits in the meta, but I would say, is 2 gonna be enough for you, or was that more so just like a matter of preference?
Yeah, I actually wanted to bump this up to 3, but I wasn't sure since really no other Zoro lists in Europe that topped was playing it. They were all playing guard points. I'm not sure why, as this card is insane. It lets you swing at boards with your weenies to clear, kills Rebecca blocker, all around insane card, insane value, and I'm really not sure why it's not played. Yeah, this is a great card into the meta. And it helps a lot against yellow to reduce body's power to swing at it.
And then we also have the 1 of the jet pistol. Now this one is only going to be at 1. Was this something you were kind of debating to run at all, and maybe you were just squeezing in as like an extra option? What was kind of like the thought process on this?
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like since I played Zoro since OPO1, I feel like that pistol has just always been a staple, so I couldn't force myself to take it out, even though it is pretty useless in the meta right now. So 1 felt good. If it clogged my hand, I usually had a 0 cost spell to pitch it out, but yeah, I might take it out for another Fire Fist if I were to edit this list at all.
Okay. Since it was a 1 of, you did have other 1-ofs, besides with like Sunny Kun and the Nico Robin. Did you actually get to see this often, or sadly not?
No, the jet pistol never came up. I feel like most of my opponents were skilled enough to play around the jet pistol. Yeah, it wasn't even useful in life. Yeah, pretty much just a dead card. Could have been another Sunny, to be honest.
And then yeah, we got the last 2 cards of the deck. We have 2 of the 1 cost Jambe. Now with this one, once again, kind of similar to Fire Fist, it is a very good card. It does help you gap close. Similar, I guess, usage would be as with Luffy. Do you think 2 is going to be enough, or have you had kind of thought process on maybe running more or less?
Yeah, I feel like every Zoro build right now, the staple number is 2. It is double searchable by Nami and Buggy. This is how you close games versus Sakazuki. You have 2, you can double Jambe, and it's just a great card. And since everyone knows most Zoro lists are playing 2, you can even fake Jambe, which I ended up doing in round 10. It was pretty cool. I Jambled to push them to 0 life when they had 2 Borsalinos on board to get them to commit to go for game, and then to tap their Borsalinos, and I killed them with a 15k swing, as I didn't have another Jambe in hand.
Wow, okay, so that actually did kind of come up with just trying to pretty much play this mental gymnastics of giving them the idea that you have double Jambe, but you actually don't. So there was some bit of strategy behind that.
Yeah, I think the opponent kind of psyched himself out. If he's watching this, I'm sorry. I kind of like was doing some acting to try to convince him to go for game, as I was really far behind as I double whiffed on Buggy at the game. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good play by my end. Yeah, it's like probably like the only skill expression you can do with this deck.